Everyone, welcome to the December 13th, 2024 meeting of the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board. I'd like to call this meeting to order. And if Gail, you would do a roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Commissioner Myers, I believe, is excused. Glenn Brown,
Here.
Mike Lacey,
Present.
Artie Fryer, Craig Fursell,
Here.
Chris Leffert,
Here.
Riley Larson,
Here.
Abby Walters,
Here.
Beth Pasick,
Here.
Deborah LaQuinta, Scott Bragan, Jennifer Waskovich,
Here.
Alexia Wiggins,
Here.
Councilman Schisler,
Here.
Kristen Thomas, David Michaels, John Vargas, Cassandra Blaylock,
Here.
Jerry Stickney.
Here.
We do have an in-person quorum.
Thank you very much. Okay, next on the agenda is public comment. There doesn't appear to be any.
No, I don't have any
Okay.
public comment, but I want to just read into the record Commissioner Meyer's statement.
Please.
She just wanted to say that I will not be available to attend Friday's board meeting due to another scheduled meeting. So,
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So, any other public comment? Appearing to be none, we'll move forward. Since we do have a quorum, we can take action, and we have everybody should have received a copy of the minutes from the October 25th, 2024 meeting. As if everybody's had an opportunity to read them, if there's any comments or questions or corrections, make a motion to that effect. Need a motion to approve?
Move to approve. Glenn Brown.
Second, Beth Pasick.
Motion is second. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Otherwise opposed. Thank you. Motion passes. Okay, action item, the annual operating report by Karen Smith of Sunshine Line. You are recognized.
Good. Here. I can see it.
yeah, I guess it's just slow.
Good morning. Sorry, yeah, I'm just here to present the annual operations report. Sometimes we see this in October, we got the little late to run the December meeting. Each year, it is.
The microphone only is for both people, so in person.
Okay. I'll just talk about that. Okay, or I'll try to speak louder. I'm competing with the American speaker. Each year, the Community Transportation Coordinator is required to submit an annual operations report to the state of Florida. It reports all the service that is provided in each county by Sunshine Line, which is the CTC, and by all the agencies that we have coordination contracts with that we should present to you. So we list those agencies as well, and the paratransit trips that are provided by CART. The reporting period is July through June, so that's right. So we're a little later than normal. It's like carrying over the street. Like I said, it's a state, then the Commission for the Transportation Disadvantage takes all of these and prepares a statewide report that usually comes out about January that summarizes the same information from the state. It's also the information that's used in the CTC evaluation, which will be coming to the next coordinating board meeting. It's also about the hurricanes later. So You have a copy of the whole report in your package. It's very detailed and has some information. So I'm just gonna cover some of the bigger items. In Hillsborough County, Sunshine Line and all of those agencies transported 15,299 people over last year in transportation disadvantage. That included 516,000 door-to-door trips, which everything increased finally this year. This is kind of the year that things started to go back to normal. So those trips were up 17% over the year before. We issued 9,600 monthly bus passes. That was up 18% over the year before. I would just note, we don't include the Heart Plus passes that we issue in this report because Heart Plus trips are counted. So, if we count the passes, then we count the trips for duplicating them. So the number of bus passes is less than we actually issue because we issue passes for that service. Trip's purpose, this is overall. So remember, this is all the agencies plus us. I think I like to show this on because I think a lot of people think it's all medical trips and it's not. I think 14% of the trips are medical. 34% of them are for groceries or for nutrition programs and basic services. Employment is 6%, education is 16%. For life sustaining and other, it's their category to call it life sustaining. When we think of life sustaining, it's kind of an urgent trip. It's really all those other things. Going to social services appointment, going to the bank to get your haircut, we do a lot of trips now for visiting family and friends. I've seen some where someone's going to cemetery visits and it's just, to learn what the period there. It's all of those other trips that make up the life appointments. So I think it's important to show that 30% of those trips are that, are that actual life, not just essentials. To do all of that service, 343 vehicles were used. That does not include parts, paratransit service vehicles, and the taxi vehicles used to that service, but not part of buses. And just over 4 million miles for just the door-to-door service. We are back up to kind of a normal number of drivers system-wide and Sunshine Line. There were 744 drivers. That is, I knew how much to talk about that, but it's back up to pre-COVID levels. And the resources to do that service were 25 million, and 12 million of that is local funding. It's either fares or county funding or nonprofits who are getting donations that are local funds. So it's a lot of local money contributing to the services. The average cost per trip, and this is all trips. So part of the reason you do bus passes is because it's economical. It's more economical to give the person a bus pass if they can use that for their transportation and they have to take it. So that helps to lower the overall cost. The overall cost per trip, and a trip is a one-way trip. That's a trip. It's $26.44 per trip. That's down 2%. And part of that is because the cost of the service remained relatively constant, but more trips are being provided, so the efficiencies are driving the cost back down. If there are any questions about the specifics of the report itself, I will try to answer them and get it back to you on to send it out to you. Otherwise, we just need a motion from this board that you have accepted that you received.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments or questions for Karen?
So across the board, pretty much you're back to pre-COVID numbers or better? Yeah.
Please go ahead.
Trying to recall, like, are the other of the 25 million, the other 13 million, we only have about 12 million local going in. The other 13 million are federal, and what other sorts of dollars?
Well, it's state.
Let's see.
The transportation disadvantage is state funding. But a lot of the nonprofits are doing state and
Kind of like,
makes the state.
Any other comments or questions? Appearing to be none, entertain a motion to accept the report.
I make motion to accept the report.
Glenn Brown, a second.
Chair, we have motion second. Any comment or discussion on the motion? If not, please indicate for approval, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Likewise opposed. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the report. Okay, moving on to status reports. Seems like we have several to go over. The Hart Flamingo Fair policy changes, Donnie Murray from Park staff.
Morning, everyone. My name is Donnie Murray. I'm with Hart as the Manager of Community and Business Engagement. Today, I'll be going over what is and what isn't changing about our fair starting in January and talking about maybe what you've heard of something called Flamingo Fairs. Here we go. So I'll be briefly going over what it means when we say paper passes are going away in January. I'll be going over a bit of a timeline of how we got to this point, and then giving an overview about what Flamingo is, the different ways to pay using Flamingo Fairs, what it means when I say fare capping, and then just briefly summarizing how someone would go about using Flamingo Fairs on our buses and vans. So a little bit of history of how we got here. So if you've heard about Flamingo Fairs before, it's because it has existed for a little bit of a while now. It's existed all the way back since 2017 when it was just a very simple phone app. So it's gone through different iterations and different versions leading up to now. The current version that we have today started in 2020. We started live testing it then, but then it publicly launched in 2021. So in 2021, the Flamingo Fairs that we have today was available to the public. At the same time, paper passes were also available to the public. So nothing truly changed for our riders at the time. We just added an additional way to pay with the ultimate goal of getting fully onto Flamingo Fairs for various reasons that I'll cover next. At the beginning of this year in 2024, PSTA, so the St. Pete Transit Agency over across the bay, they removed their paper passes starting in January and fully transitioned to Flamingo Fairs. So we're just a year behind them in what they've already done. So this current summer, we did a public input process, getting feedback on making sure the last minute kinks were worked out with Flamingo Fairs itself, getting any public feedback about changing our technical fare policy. And then the board approved that decision. And so starting on January 5th, we will be removing paper passes and fully having only Flamingo Fairs as your option. So there's a couple things to know about what that means. So the first thing is that with paper passes, we will no longer sell the paper passes on board the buses or accept the paper passes on board. So this whole time we've been telling people, if you have paper passes left, please use them up. Come on board, use them up, please. Or you can come to our transit centers and exchange that value before January 5th. The next thing that's still staying the same is that people can use cash on board. It's only for $2 one-way trips though. So again, they can't pay cash to buy that paper pass on board because of course that paper pass doesn't exist. But for one-way trips, they can still use cash on board if they just need to get to one destination. Fares themselves are also staying the same. I know it can sound confusing when we say paper passes are going away, Flamingo Fairs are new, it can be like a lot. The fares themselves are staying the same. I'll go into what those fare prices are. But in general, the regular day amount is $4 and the regular month amount is $65. We've had that since I believe 2012. And that amount is not changing. Also, for our Hart Plus patrons, their way to pay is not changing. So Hart Plus itself will not be using Flamingo Fairs. They'll still have the one-day passes and the 10-pack passes as well. And then the Flamingo cards themselves, and I'll get into here in a second the different types of Flamingo Fairs. One of the versions is a plastic card. If someone wants that plastic card, starting in January, they will have a $3 cost for new and replacement cards. Right now, they are free for the public. We're taking on that additional cost, making sure that everyone can get onto Flamingo Fairs as quickly as possible. So a bit more about why we're changing to Flamingo Fairs. There's actually a lot of benefits as to why we're getting rid of these paper passes and moving kind of in a bit more of a digital direction. The main way is that with paper passes, there was a couple cons that people had, and we want to make sure that people can save money. So with a paper pass, for example, if I didn't have maybe the financial ability to pay $65 up front for a month pass, I'm going to be paying day by day. And that happens for a lot of people. They're only able to pay $4 one at a time. Maybe also it's more convenient for me to buy a month pass, but I don't know if I'm actually going to ride the whole month of rides the whole time. So with Flamingo Fairs, you're only paying for the amount of rides that you need. And you're only going to pay the max amount of the $4 in a day or $65 in a month. When I talk about fare capping, I'll kind of give some examples on other ways that paper passes are actually costing people more money. The other really great benefit of Flamingo Fairs that paper passes doesn't have is if someone makes an account with Flamingo Fares, and let's say they lose their card or something happens with their phone app, they don't lose that money that's on their card. Whereas with a paper pass, if the strip gets damaged or the paper gets lost or torn, unfortunately, there's no way for us to redeem that value in any way. So with paper pass, they got lost that value. With Flamingo Fares, you're actually able to save your money on your account. The other benefit about Flamingo Fares is actually saving time both for the riders and both for our operations system. So currently with a paper pass or having to buy on board, you have to actually get on board with your cash or figure out maybe where your local AMSCOT is or getting to our transit center. Now with Flamingo Fares, you're able to pay for your fare wherever you are, which means that Flamingo Fares is available on your app, with a card, or even just your simple wallet or credit card. So it's expanding the ways that people are able to just pay for their fare without having to go to a certain location. A couple other ways it makes it faster is that it's actually increasing the boarding or saving time with boarding for people on board. So instead of having to wait one by one, people may be fumbling with cash, having struggled with our old fare boxes. Now all that process happens in advance. So they're already loading their money on their card. They already have their system. So whenever people are boarding, they're simply tapping on board, getting on so that our bus can start faster and you can get to your destination quicker as well. A couple other benefits with Flamingo Fares. With that account, if people make an account, they're able to do an auto reload, similar to like maybe the toll system, where if you get low on cash, the system will automatically add funds to your account, so you really don't ever have to think about it. And then this system, as I mentioned, is also available in PSTA over in St. Pete. So transportation doesn't end at county lines, neither does Flamingo Fares. So if you're traveling between different counties, not having to worry about maybe trying to get a different pass system, it's all the same one card. So now I'm going to go over, when I say Flamingo Fares, there's actually multiple ways to use Flamingo Fares. The first main way through our system is a mobile app, so the Flamingo app, and a plastic smart card, the Flamingo card. So for the Flamingo app, you would download on your Android phone or iPhone, and you can either tap it on board or scan with a QR code, or with that plastic smart card. Again, it's that $3 one-time cost at either of our customer service centers, Marion Transit Center in downtown, University Area Transit Center and University. For people that qualify for discount cards or the discount fares, they can also get their discounts through Flamingo Fares with our discount Flamingo card. So it's the exact same thing as the Flamingo card. It has all the same benefits. It just automatically applies the reduced fare for discount people that are eligible for the discount fares. Again, that'll still have a $3 one-time cost, but all the same discount categories apply. So youth ages 6 to 18, seniors 65 and up, people with disabilities with the application, anyone that has a VA card with service connected, visually impaired, people with Medicare card, or existing Card Plus users and maybe having those old discount cards. One of the most recent ways that we've actually expanded Flamingo Fares is now we offer what's called contactless and digital wallet. So with contactless, if you have a credit card, a debit card, or even a prepaid card that has that little contactless symbol on it, similar to maybe if you go to a grocery store and you tap to pay, you can also now tap to pay on board our buses. Simply pull out that credit card, tap our readers, and you're able to ride our buses as well. Same thing with digital wallets. You have maybe like a Google Wallet or an Apple Wallet. You can simply tap that phone at our reader, it'll register it, and that's how you can pay your fare as well. So that really requires no downloading an extra app. It's just using something you already have. Now, as I mentioned, we still have the option to pay for cash on board. This is maybe for someone that maybe wasn't able to get Flamingo Fares or just needs to get that one-way trip. Again, I'm going to get a little bit into why I don't encourage people to use cash on board, because if they're riding consistently, it's actually going to cost them more money versus if we found a better way for them to get on Flamingo Fares. But it is still an option to pay that $2 one-way trip as long as they have exact change. You don't have any cash system on board to return change. As I mentioned, the fares themselves are not changing. We have a system that's called fare capping. Sounds a little complicated, but I'm going to explain it. So with our regular fares, as I mentioned, the one-way trip is $2. An all-day pass is $4, and a full month pass is $65. And with Flamingo Fares, you're never going to pay more than these amounts. And what fare capping means is every time you board, you're going to tap whatever version of Flamingo Fares that you have. And it's going to charge you for those first couple trips. Once I've written the amount of a $4 daily max, after that, I'm going to ride free the rest of the day. If I've already paid that $4, the system knows, hey, you've already covered the amount of a day pass. It's not going to charge you anymore for the rest of the day. Similar with the month. So if I keep riding day after day, paying the $4, once I've paid up to $65, the system recognizes that. So every time I tap after that, I'm going to ride free for the rest of the month. So again, that way I'm only paying for the amount of rides that I need. I'm not having to buy that monthly pass up front. But again, I'm still making sure that I'm not paying more and more. So I want to refer to the couple examples I have here. So for example, explaining the daily max. So let's say I'm going from home to work, I'm gonna pay the $2 for the one-way trip. After work, if I need to go get groceries, I'm gonna tap again on the bus, and it charge me another $2. As I mentioned, the system now sees I paid $4. So whenever I go from the grocery store to home, that trip itself, when I tap, is free. So that's how the daily fare capping works. And with the monthly, again, if I ride 17 days, 2 times a day, it's gonna recognize that I paid the $65 and I'll ride the rest of the month for free because I've already paid the max amount in an entire month. However, if I was just spending day by day, again, if I was using the existing month pass and wasn't able to maybe pay for it up front, within 17 days, I'm spending $68 day by day, but then I still have to keep paying every month after that. So for someone, again, that maybe has that financial burden of not having $65 or even the $35 up front, they're going to be paying a lot more. So with Flamingo Fares, we're making sure these people can save money. This just gives an overview of all these different ways to pay and why maybe one version may work better for another person. So our main ways, again, are the Flamingo app and the Flamingo card. That way you're able to register your account, track your fare capping. They offer the regular fares, and it gives you the full benefits of all that account. If someone just wants to ride our buses, we do offer that digital wallet and contactless where they don't have to download anything extra. They can still get the fare capping benefit as long as they use the same system every single time. However, they're not going to have the account benefits of maybe able to see their tracking, set up auto reload, things like that. And then if someone needs to use those discount fares, the main way they can do that is getting that discount Flamingo card and going to our Heart customer service centers to get that. And as I mentioned, Heart Plus will not be using Flamingo fares. Everything that's happening currently for them is staying the same, nothing changes. So once someone's figured out what Flamingo method works best for them, the next step, as I mentioned, is to load money in advance, similar to just buying your pass in advance. So there's a couple ways to do that. Someone could go on their app and load money. Someone could go on the website, flamingofares.com, and load money as long as they have their debit, credit card, and internet. Or if someone needs to use cash, they can go to our Marion Transit Center and University Transit Center, give them their card or show them the app, whatever the method is, and they can use cash at these centers to load money onto their Flamingo fares. Again, this is just a summary of the different ways to load money and maybe why one way may work better for another. So again, if someone needs to use cash, they're going to the Heart Customer Service Center. If they have a debit or credit card, they can simply use the app or flamingofares.com. And then generally, once someone's gotten their Flamingo fares, loaded money, it's really simple on how to use the system. So every time you ride, you're still going to tap or maybe scan if you have a QR code for every single time. Again, once you've reached those max amounts, you're not being charged. We just need you to tap every time. That way the operator knows that you've paid your amount. And then as someone's tapping the reader, they're just going to hold until they hear a beep, a single beep. It'll also show a green check mark, but again, that beep is for people that maybe have visual impairments and can't see the screen. So they're going to hear a single beep. If there's maybe a problem with the system or a problem with the card, it'll be a double. But again, we just tell people hold for the single beep. That means that your taps have been cleared and you're ready to get on board. Now, as we gear up to January 2025, we are working with our organizations and institutional partners who are providing passes to their clients and patrons. As of September, I know the number has increased. This was just my last amount. We had 20 of 35 accounts fully converted onto Flamingo. There's a lot of different steps that go into. We have a lot of different other fare options for our clients because, of course, their clients have different needs that we don't promote to the public. So it just takes some time to create maybe that new pass or get them on board and get all the supplies delivered to them. So we are in progress to get the rest of our accounts converted. We also just need people to reach out to us as well. And so by January, we're making sure that everyone has it. For a lot of our clients, we do offer what's called a one-day pass. So it's kind of a replacement to our existing paper passes, where it's just a one-day pass. So after that 1 day, it's not usable, but it is a tappable card versus a max trip. So it is safer for them and able to give us the data that we need. And so in summary with Flamingo Fares, the really simple steps now for someone, now that we've gotten rid of paper passes, you find which of those Flamingo Fares way to pay is your method, you load money, then you tap and scan for every single time you ride. That is all the information I have, and I'm happy to answer any questions that we have about this process or anything about Flamingo Fares.
Thank you, Tom. Any comments? Excuse me, any questions?
Which counties does this work in? Pinellas and Hillsborough only, or?
Yes, Nels and Hillsborough.
Okay. Let's see, what did that note mean? Does it show when you're getting on the bus and it goes beep? Does it say that ride is free, so you feel like you've really, been reassured you're not getting charged again?
Yep, so this is one example of what the screen will show. There's about 20 or 30 different screens. So if you've already gotten your fare cap, it'll say no charge. Once you get that fare cap, it'll say, congrats, you've earned a day pass. If you're getting low on money, it'll show a yellow check and say low on balance. So there's about a lot of different ways to give you kind of that brief information saying where you're at.
Good. I figured out what that meant. If you charge with your credit card, there's no limit to the maximum amount. That's only with Flamingo, right? That's where you're tapped out at 65 or whatever. If you
Right.
use your credit card, it's each time and,
No, so with contactless, so with the debit and credit card, you also get the benefits.
Oh, you
of fare
do?
capping.
oh, okay.
Sorry, I didn't clarify that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
the
You have to
state
make
card,
use of
good
the same card.
point.
So all these ways to use Flamingo fares, you do get the benefit of fare capping. So even if you just
Okay,
have your
great.
credit card and you're tapping on board, you're still getting the fare capping as long as you use the same card. The little caveat that I use is, let's say you have that same credit card on your digital wallet, you can't switch to your digital wallet because the machine registers that as a different method, even if it's the same credit card. But as long as you're using the same card every time, and you don't have to make an account or anything like that, you do get the benefits of fare capping. It won't charge you after that $65 within the calendar month.
Thank you.
Absolutely, it's pretty much.
Can I see that last slide about the agencies? Because we do have agencies that give clients 1-day passes.
Mhm.
I know January 5th is coming up, so they're in that window as well, that still have paper cards. Glenn and I know what we're talking about, all the services.
We did switch to the Flamingo card for our clients.
So I just wanted a number that we can refer some of our agencies that I deal with, that they can, so they can contact you. Switch over the.
Yes, absolutely, yeah, if you get in touch, I can get you my information, we'll get you in touch with the right person in our finance team to make sure that they have all the information they need. to
Okay.
transfer. Absolutely, yeah, exactly what I'm gonna put.
Yeah, we got working like this about a year ago.
There's some of the other agencies still have cards that I know.
Yes, one other question. If two individuals are riding at the same time, claiming using the same payment, do the individuals have to have separate payment cards? Or can you use the same credit card for both?
It would need to be
People.
the same, it would need to be one card per person.
Right, one, okay, so you
Yeah.
can't pay for two people with the same
No.
debit card or credit.
Great question, yeah, we've had a couple people have that, and it's kind of similar to paper passes, right? You can't have one pass for multiple people. The reason that we don't allow one credit card for multiple people is that the reverse would happen, where let's say I'm only writing for myself, but I maybe accidentally hit it twice. We don't want that person to be charged twice if that was just an accident. So when someone taps, there is a delay when the reader, let's say it does get too close and it tries to read it again. There's a delay in between when the reader stops accepting it and noticing that it already tapped once. Yes,
Actually, that does bring up it. So if I were going on and I'm just gonna get the person I'm with, I would have to use, do I still tap twice? What do I do if I want to just cover their fare? They don't have a credit back for the kid or something.
you would need just a different method of payment, so maybe a different credit card using a digital wallet.
So I have to do two different things. I can't use one Flamingo card.
No, it would be one, yeah, and it's similar to how it is now, like, there's not a say one pass that works for multiple people. And again, if they're a student, if they're a youth, we want them to get the youth benefit too, so they should get that discount card anyways. Yes,
As one of the institutional accounts that does it, I'm with the school district.
great,
I think the Flamingo Pass is great for individuals. As an institution account, it's a little cumbersome.
Okay.
Because like we're using it for students, they lose them constantly. So they're constantly being replaced. I mean, I have one student at one school that we're on his 5th card since school started. So those things are very cumbersome. And then I can't take the money and transfer the card he's lost. I can't transfer that to his new card. I've got to email somebody and have them transfer that money to that card. So that also gets very cumbersome. I don't know if that's something that can be worked on, but if we could transfer our own funds, it would make it a lot easier.
I appreciate that feedback, I'll take that back to our retail team, I know we're looking at other ways to improve the system, and so there are opportunities for improvement, so I appreciate that, I'll look into it. Directly.
Good. Any other questions or
I
comments?
got one more.
Sure.
The $2 cash payment is good. Students are also $2 or are they reduced because?
They are reduced, yes.
Okay.
Here we go. So someone can receive that reduced discount of $1 if they have the middle school or high school ID. That's also a physical ID or now a digital ID,
All right.
digital as well.
Thank you.
If they show their Medicare card or the existing PSDA discount card, they can receive that discount on board.
Good report. Thank you.
Questions? Great, well, thank you guys so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Hold on.
Absolutely.
This is one of the reasons why we want to bring hard on, because this goes into effect in 3 weeks. Okay, so we need to take it back to all of our respective organizations, make sure they're aware of it. I mean, the cards are, he's just a card, just what it looks like. They're available, they're ready. Hearts spent over $12 million on this in the last several years. The paper transfers are a pain, the machines don't work, and it will actually, if a client gets on and they're trying to use a paper and it jams up, the bus driver has to stop, make the paper go through, and that makes them, they fall behind. It messes up the frequency of the trip, and everybody suffers all up and down the line, including the customer can't get to where they need to be, and it backs everybody up. So I mean, the transition is important. The Hearts worked very, very hard, diligently to get this thing tweaked and working. It's not perfect, to your point. We're working on that. If there's an issue, Donnie will make sure, Donnie and his team will make sure that it gets fixed, and we'll work on that. But please take this back to your client, to your organization. Make sure this information gets out, because January 6th or January 5th this is going into effect. And if they've got paper transfers, it's going to be a problem for them. So this is why we wanted to bring everybody together, and because this group is the conduit for getting that information back and forth to the organizations. So thank you, Scott.
Yeah, because we're doing all we can to make sure that people that haven't gotten Flamingo are getting on. We're gonna have people riding the buses next week. We're gonna have lots of staff at our transit and transit centers. But of course, we can't reach everyone. We want to make sure that those that are most vulnerable, or again, that are people still using cash or paper passes for whatever reason, are getting this information. Because again, we have so many thousands of riders every day. So yes, I appreciate you bringing that up. Please spread the word, making sure that the people that you know have this information. And again, if they need help, they can always call customer service, 813-254-HEART. The customer service is happy to help them get their information to get them onboarded. Thanks.
So do we have like notification inside the buses, just letting the passengers know that this changes is happening? So
We do.
just curious.
Yeah, absolutely. We have flyers posted at the front, and we have audio announcements going on board pretty regularly. Great question. And then we also have on our main transit center, there's like signage posted on the walls and on the walls, on the floors and walls.
It's important for our people because they're more problematic in issues that may need some of our individual specialized help and reach out and touching. So that's why we wanted to bring it forth to this group.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Just to be clear, this is for fixed route bus only, not door to door, and not TD Tampa Bay, correct?
Great question. This is for our bus system and for Heart Flex as well, but yes, not for Heart Plus.
And not for TD Tampa Bay, the door county thing.
That's okay.
Okay, very good. Thank you very
Great,
much
thank
for
you.
your report.
Great report. Thank you, Richard.
Continue on with Heart. We got the Heart Route 1 service improvements. Jesus, good morning.
There's
Yeah.
nothing wrong.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. So name is Jesus Bradley Garcia, Heart staff. This morning you're gonna be seeing my face twice, so I apologize in advance. The first time you're gonna see me is we're gonna talk about a new pilot program. Very excited to introduce. It's Route 1 is gonna be fare free for 1 year. And it's also gonna have high frequency on weekdays for 1 year, funded by the city of Tampa. Yeah, it's funded by the city of Tampa and Tampa City Council. It will begin January 5th, 2025. A lot is going on with January 5th. And it will last until January 4th, 2026, for a full 365 days. So what is Route 1 and why are we doing this on Route 1? Route 1 is the Florida Avenue corridor. It connects downtown Tampa to the university area. Route 1 was chosen for this pilot first because there was an inquiry from a city council member through the Hillsborough TDO about ways to make transit more accessible. Also, Florida Avenue is the future bus rapid transit corridor and the streetcar extension corridor, which is one of the TDO's top transit priorities. Route 1 is one of the highest, if not that highest, rider route, over 3,000 passengers per day. on weekdays. It's one of the routes with the most transit to the streetcar because it connects down Whiting Street, with the streetcar. It connects with 70% of the network, because they connect with a lot of east-west routes. It's like a spine of the system. So it connects with MLK, Hillsborough Waters, et cetera. And also the ferry is expected to improve service for people. Speed takes out a little bit since people are not going to be paying. It takes less time to get on board. And also high frequency helps as well to handle loads and reduce wait times for people. Route 1 serves a densely populated area and a very diverse area with significant implications to access and equity. The map on the left is about how long it takes to get places. Here it's from downtown. So you see the lighter blue colors, that's like less than 30 minutes. So you see how that blue extends all the way up Florida Avenue. And then it spans sideways as you reach the different connections and also other east-west routes. In terms of access, within a quarter mile of Route 1, which is like a 5 to 10 minute walk, you have 32,000 residents and 56,000 jobs. If you look at a half mile, so twice that, this number is double. A half mile is like a 10 to 15 minute walk. Also within the Route 1 corridor, 1 in 5 households do not own a vehicle, which highlights the importance of access to affordable transportation. 1 in 4 people are on the poverty line. Again, affordability of transportation becomes key. 2/3 of people are minority, and 1 in 7 people have a disability. I just learned that 14% is 1 in 7. Not quite. So what does this look like money-wise? So the proposal is to bring 15-minute service all day on weekdays. And by all day, we mean 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., which is good for work. 80% of the ridership travels within that time frame. Right now, currently, it's like 20 minutes, so 3 buses an hour, except for the peak period, peak direction, which is kind of using with this pilot program, it would be 15 minutes, 6 to 6 both direction. This is an extra 15 revenue hours a day. That's how we quantify and price service. So 15 revenue hours a day, 255 weekdays, that's $640,000 annually. Then the fare free, which would be all days, not just weekdays. We calculate that using existing ridership, which is 1.1 million trips per year at 74 cents per trip. That's about $840,000. So that adds up to 1.5 million. Now we're expecting an increase in ridership as well, more service and no fare that attracts more people. So there's going to be more people riding the system. We got a taste of that during the hurricane. We were fare free for 2 weeks system wide, and we saw the ridership live. I did not mention in the beginning that Tampa City Council approved 1.65 million for this pilot program, and you only see 1.5 on screen. The other $150,000 are for air transit. So by federal law, if the underlying federal service is free, the air transit service has to be free. So we did the math, and there are about 30,000 trips a year on the Route 1 corridor in air transit. And with the expected increase in ridership, that's about $104,000 in foregone fare revenue, which the city is covering. It's extra $150,000. I have to note that these are trips that start and end within the Route 1 corridor, because they have to be trips that are comparable to the fixed route trip. Like if you start in town and country and you end in Tampa Heights, that doesn't count. And that's all I have for Route 1, and happy to answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions regarding this program?
Do you have literature or flyer to send out to folks so I can inform them without having to rewrite your words?
I think
We will have them. So we get your information, we can have something for the departments ready.
It's connecting to the streetcar at Whiting Street. Is the streetcar all now going to have a fare though?
Also, we're watch the hardboard meeting on January 6th.
So we'll see.
We'll see.
Action to come.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you.
We're trying to avoid it if at all possible, but at this point, again, it's,
Need money.
pardon me?
You need money.
It doesn't happen on air.
Yeah,
It really doesn't. So it's,
but I appreciate it.
Yeah.
If I use it a lot.
any other questions or comments? This is a pretty big deal. It's the 1.6 million being covered by the city. Remember, it only covers 1 year. But the frequencies are moving from 20 minutes per boat per between stops to 15, whereas most, a super majority of the rest of the whole system is 60 minutes. So you miss a bus and you're waiting another hour, and that makes it difficult for us to, as HART, to provide the level of service that we're trying to do for the whole area. So it makes it, this is a good program, but again, all comes back to funding. This is post-COVID level funding. If we, to just get back to 30 minutes would be pre-level, it cost the agency $25-30 million just to get it to where it used to be. And if you want to go back to the ancient times in the 2016, which was pre-mission max, it'd be another $30 or $40 million on top of that, which was, everybody was at 30-minute frequencies. So this is a good program. City of Tampa deserves lots of kudos. It barely passed, but it did pass. So that's important. What's going to happen after the first year is anybody's guess. Hopefully, the powers that be will see that it's how critical it is and provide the funding that's necessary, or help secure the funding that's necessary to perpetuate it, keep it going and expand it. So, any other questions? Appearing to be none. Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
We'll call you back up in a couple more minutes. Thanks. Okay, land use and transportation, look at how TPO and planning commission are working together. Who's got that? Oh, you got that. Okay,
Sarah.
welcome. Good morning.
TPO, we'll talk a little bit about what that means and how everything works together. So you might have heard us talk about Plan Hillsborough. Plan Hillsborough is the umbrella that covers the Planning Commission, which is technically called the Hillsborough County City County Planning Commission. The Hillsborough TPO, we provide the staff services such as development and quality for the Transportation Planning Organization. And we also provide the staff for the Hillsborough River Interlocal Planning Board and Technical Advisory Council. So together we make up Plan Hillsborough. We do land use, transportation, and some other kinds of planning as well. A little bit about what we do and what we're required to do here at Plan Hillsborough. You can see a sample here on the slides. As part of the Planning Commission, one of our main functions that people are aware of us is that we maintain and update the comprehensive plans, the future land use map for all of our jurisdictions in the county. So that is the county and the 3 different cities. We also do an agency master plan review and we're staffed to some of these other boards. As part of the Transportation Planning Organization, or TPO, you've seen us come to you before with our long-range transportation plan. We also have a public participation plan, a unified planning work program, the congestion management process that we're also required to have you, the Transportation Disadvantage Coordinating Board, and the TD program. That's part of our state requirement of the MPO. And then the Hillsborough River Interlocal Planning Board has a river master plan that we're required to maintain and update. Focusing a little bit more about the TPO and some of our core work products, there's just a sampling here on the slide, but we do long range transportation planning. This is required by federal and state law that we do an LRTP, which looks out 25 years in the future. We do a shorter range document called the Transportation Improvement Program. This looks at how we're spending our federal money and our state money in the first 5 years. We have the Unified Planning Work Program, which talks about what we do here at the TPO and how we spend the dollars that come to us for planning. Now we have a public participation plan that talks about how do we engage with the public and how do we measure our success at engagement with the public. And every few years, we're required to look at how did we do, did we hit the metrics we want to hit, and how can we look at evaluating ourselves differently and reaching people in different ways to be more effective. We also plan for all modes. You can see some of them on the slide, everything from the streetcar, from working with our transit partners, to thinking about autonomous and connected vehicles and how technology is changing transportation. So people who are walking, biking in a car, however people might be traveling as they go around our area. Switching gears a little bit, we'll talk just briefly about what a comprehensive plan is. Again, that's about the land use team's efforts. But we do work together. We'll talk about how we work together in just a moment. In the state of Florida, we have laws that require us to do comprehensive plans, and it sets a long range policy direction for future land use, but also transportation, capital improvements, environmental, different kinds of areas of how our communities operate. And these typically are updated every 7 to 10 years, and they're approved by the local elected officials, such as Councilman Schisler. When he is with the city of Temple Terrace, he would see this as it gets updated. And as I mentioned, they provide high-level direction in a range of areas. So what a comprehensive plan can do is think about the future and that future growth, having consistency with new development in our plan vision, prioritizing funding and guiding our funding investments through this high-level vision and policy document, and protecting resources by separating incompatible uses, thinking about do these kinds of land uses make sense next to each other? For example, housing and industrial development. And a little bit about what a comprehensive plan cannot do. The comprehensive plan doesn't issue or manage permits. It's not a mechanism for enforcing code regulations or doing design of roadways or traffic management. It does not regulate specifications for how a building is laid out or set back from the property line. It's not a zoning document. It doesn't implement or change your zoning district. And it does not identify engineering or stormwater specifications. These are different kinds of details that are handled by different documents in different ways. And a little bit of a look at how we work together here at Plain Hillsborough when we talk about the transportation or the land use planning. So our staff of the Planning Commission does cross-coordination on relevant projects. And an example of that is the comprehensive plan mobility section. This is that merger between land use planning, comprehensive planning, and also transportation planning and how people move around our community. We have a land use team that provides a consistency finding for that long-range document, the LRTP. And also our land use document thinks about all of our jurisdictions' comprehensive plans and presents those to the Planning Commission. Our transportation team, such as myself, Wally, Elizabeth, we are the staff of the Transportation Planning Organization, and we provide staff support to committees such as this one. And we also have our team participate in reviews of comprehensive plan amendments and rezonings. So our transportation team, while also being part of the TPO, is looking at the comprehensive plan amendments. How does that transportation piece work together? We also have in some of our comprehensive plans policies that refer to these different ways of thinking about things together. An example of that is in the Hillsborough County Comprehensive Plan, because each jurisdiction has its own comprehensive plan. There is a mobility policy that talks about prior to updating the TPO's long-range transportation plan, we're evaluating a constrained roadway list that exists within the comprehensive plan. So to see how those two documents work together. Another example from the City of Tampa Comprehensive Plan is that it talks about working with the MPO or the TPO to prioritize intermodal transportation facilities to ensure adequate funding for the consideration of planning and funding is given part of the Transportation Improvement Program, which is another required MPO document. And with that, I'll turn it over to Elizabeth to talk a little bit more about this.
Thanks, Sarah. Elizabeth Watkins, TPO staff. I'll be covering at a high level that connection between transportation and land use. It can't be overstated how connected, how we develop and how we get to places are related. How we travel and the availability of transportation options shapes how land is used. The design and location of roads and public transit and other infrastructure is directly correlated to how our communities develop. So here's one sort of specific example of how transportation and land use can come together. So in your land use, your comprehensive plan on this image to the left of the land. The comprehensive plan has these broad land use categories. So let's take SMU6, so suburban mixed use development. But then your zoning code gets more specific. What do those setbacks look like? What does the actual design, form, and function of your development look like? Because the land use plan sets out just a broad set of things that could be private use. But the transportation network is so integral to how we actually get to these places and spaces that we all love and need to for our regular going about our business. So now I'll give a few examples, concrete examples on how transportation and land use is connected here in Hillsborough County. So the first example is context classification. This is essentially a set of different classifications that takes a place-sensitive approach to roadway design. So, for example, a road in the city of Tampa is going to look very different than maybe a county road out in more rural areas. You're going to have transit stops, you're going to have sidewalks, you're going to have more, you're going to need different amenities to those transportation facilities in those more dense urbanized areas than you would out in the rural areas. So context classification really gets at what makes sense for that roadway design based on where it is, because it's going to look different whether you're in a rural area or an urban area. Then there's also something called local functional classification. This is really how the roadway functions. And this is used in design and land development regulation. So principal arterials, your interstates, those high volume, high capacity facilities that don't have a lot of access. You're not gonna go a fourth of a mile and get off an interstate. So the purpose of that is to travel long distance at higher speeds. Then when you get down the local functional classification, such as collectors or locals, these are facilities with a lot of access, a lot of curb cuts, getting people to their homes and to jobs, and those speeds are going to be lower. So local functional classification really looks at the function of the roadway and how that intersects with development patterns. Centers and Connections is a set of policies within the unincorporated Hillsborough County comprehensive plan. And the intention behind these policies are to help focus and incentivize density in those areas where infrastructure already exists. So a few of the areas that are considered a center are the USF area. We already see higher density there. There's already sort of the infrastructure in place to facilitate movement of more people. So what these policies do essentially acts as a carrot to the development community and individual property owners and say, if you focus your density here, you can avoid some of the administrative processes of amending the comprehensive. So the connections were identified because they were roads that already had the proper roadway context classification, that had more walkability in the current development, that had plans to continue those investments. And from the land use side, future land use categories that already support potential for higher density to corridors in the coastal high hazard area were excluded, and the potential for density bonuses along these corridors. Again, it's more of a carrot approach if land owners want to do that. And then the centers, those were identified by major intersections that were identified in community plans for redevelopment or walkability. So there are specific community plans, specifically I think the Palm River one, where they wanted to target growth in certain areas. So we used those plans and studies to help inform where these centers are. So moving away from the example from unincorporated Hillsborough County and the Tampa Comprehensive Plan, there is something called transit ready corridors, where these corridors essentially are trying to incentivize a mix of housing and commercial and other amenities that help serve adjacent neighborhoods to have that walkable urban environment that people want if they choose to live in the cities. So there was coordination with HART and regional roadways and corridors that help connect the regional activity centers. Here is just a map of those transit ready corridors that again are identified in the draft update of the comprehensive plan for the city. So you have the slide decks in your packet. Here are a couple project links if you're interested or want to know more about these, both from a land use perspective and then transportation. And Sarah and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about transportation and land use, and we're happy to take any questions if there are any.
Any questions or comments? I got a soapbox. I want to climb on here for a second. Apologize. I wasn't going to bring this up, but your Sarah, your commentary on this was quite appropriate. We as a group are basically mandated by the state. Okay, if I'm hearing you correctly, to disseminate information for transportation and transit. But I think it has to work two ways. They work in a vacuum sometimes. You hear politicians and they have their constituents complain and they need this and they need that. And you guys got to try and come up with how do we solve these, how do we come up with solutions to these problems? Well, we as a group sit as a conduit. We take information back to our respective groups, but these guys need us to tell them what we need. And I've been on this board, I think almost 2 years. I've never heard anybody come back say, my group needs this, my group needs that. And I was going to wait till next year and see if I got reappointed here or not. I may not after today, but we need to come back and tell them what do we need? What do our specific client group, the veterans, I need something to happen for the VA hospital or the new VA center out on Fowler Avenue. And then Jerry sits here and he stepped up. Every time we said we need something, Sunshine Line does it. Okay. HART, Jesus sits back there and we don't tell him what we need. So we're not going to meet again until February, but I would challenge each and every one of us, go back to your groups. Let's tell the TPO what we need, because TPO's got to sit there and say, what can we do now? I know you guys are busy as heck. I know you are, because I hear just from the normal ebb and flow of information, and I get the minutes. But if we got to come back and tell them what we need to do. This is the conduit for that to happen. And I would challenge each and every one of us, come back and tell us, tell Wally, tell Karen and tell Jerry, this is what we need to have happen so that we can make it happen, because it's got to start somewhere. So I'll get off my soapbox now. This is why we're here, to give this information and tell them this is what my group needs. And hey, well, the school district needed that. Well, maybe the Veterans Affairs needs the same type of thing, so that we can get it and make it happen and get it done. So I'll stop there. I'm sorry.
If I could just together actually why we developed this presentation. One of our other advisory committees often gives us recommendations of topics they'd like to hear about. And one of the things we heard from them this year is we wanted to hear more about how land use and transportation work together and how the Planning Commission and the TPO staff works together. So that's exactly how this presentation came to be and why we developed it, and then thought, hey, well, I said maybe TDCB would like to hear it as well. So we are definitely open to that. And we know Molly's definitely open to facilitating and hearing that, but that's a great point. If you don't tell us, we don't know. And we're happy to be that conduit and hear from you about how we can facilitate or help with these conversations or these different things that you hear about your constituents.
We need to keep these guys busy. We need to, they don't have enough to do. We need to give them more to do and take care of our own respective clientele in the process. Thank you, guys. Any other questions or comments? Cool. Okay, let's move on back to, let's go to Sunshine Line. Jerry, all right, you're up.
Good morning, everybody. So first off, we've been working on the new software for our scheduling and our clients. We're working with Ecolane. And unfortunately, we're having to push. We're supposed to launch this coming Monday, but with some technical issues with our tablets and things, the vehicles, and that's what we live off of, our driver's manifest, performing trips. Couple technical things there, so we had to push that, unfortunately. So as of right now, we're looking at a potential February launch date currently, which this has been a long project with, if you recall, started 2.5 years ago. We awarded a vendor, then had to terminate that contract due to things they could do. Bid again, here we are. So the program itself, the application for clients, it's in the Google Store, the Apple Store. It's good. The software, everything is just the last technical piece within our IT department and within everything. And I'd say that's probably some of the most important things for our drivers to know where they're going, who they're getting, and all that fun stuff. So I'm holding my breath and have to come back in February and say, hey guys, we're pushing again. But historically, I feel like unfortunately I might be here. But so everything's going well. The program's going to be great. We just those last few things. And again, you don't want to roll something out that's not ready to roll. We ordered transit vans. You know, we saw the electric vehicles. We have those. The 3 of them. They've been being tested the last few months. And we also ordered gas-powered transit vans as well. We're getting 3 of the 10 that we ordered this month. So come February, I'll provide some photos and show some of that, but we'll also look to have it outside so that you guys can view it on your way in or out, just like we did with the electric vehicles. We learned from that first build, same transit van, but we learned some things. We improved it as far as the setup with the seats inside, securements, going from the sliding door to an actual bus door. So learned a lot of good things, and the price point of those are way better than a big bus. And those seat 10, the big bus seats 12. So we might be seeing a shift. We'll always have some of the bigger buses. There's always a good need for those, but everything is increasing in price. So, you know, when you look at fuel and then just maintenance and service and getting in and about communities, these smaller vans are really easier to move around. And I'm not seeing a lot of cons with them, especially piloting the ones we've had and getting these in. So excited to share that then. And got a new paint color. So with the EVs, we shifted a little bit, and these were a little bit of a brighter blue. So we want people to notice us. So a little refresh for 2025. So excited to have those in the for the next meeting. And then moving over to our stats for the last couple months. Our goal, we hit 100% of our driver capacity earlier in the year, and that lasted for about a month and a half, and then people retired, people transitioned. But our goal is to remain 90% and above for staffing. And the rest of this year, we've been teetering that 90 to 97% driver capacity. We have a recruitment going out right now for new hires for operators. It should be posted next week, and we'll do interviews first of the year to onboard. And that 90%, that 10% is about 5 drivers. We have about 5 vacancies right now, so we'll be looking to fill that. And the upside with the shift, we're at 95% last meeting. People got promoted into coordinator roles in the department and got promotions. But the good thing is they're still DOT certified. They can still drive. So they have some dual roles when we need for coverage or any extra trips that go on. And then our stats for September, October, November. I'll start, our trips through October were low. Hurricanes, definitely a big factor in that. We were closed for multiple days supporting that venture. November as well, we're back up to the 8,600. And we were top at 9,000, 10,000 during the summer. And toward the end of the year, historically, just ridership goes down during the holiday season. So that's on par with kind of where we've been and a little bit more than prior years. We continue to grow. And I wanted to point out as well, the total clients served for October, 2246. You would think we had a lot of fewer trips, but we served more people. As the hurricane, we end up taking more people that aren't clients. So we have to get a profile. We still create things to track those trips that we perform. So that's where that client served was higher, yet the trips were lower because we had a lot of new clients for that due to, and clients isn't just people that we, transport that we have to coordinate, still track for those purposes. And then same with our bus trip, same thing, October or lower. The big thing I want to talk about, it's been a topic the last few meetings, is our call center. We had some challenges last few months. We haven't had challenges in our call center for many, many years. But just people taking new opportunities and coming down to jobs that pay more. We were fortunate, and this last month we were able to increase our call center staff by $1 for the starting rate. People were able to get adjusted. I put these notes here. So September, we were at 57% staffing, and we had a 73% answer rate, which is not good at all. And we talked about that with y'all as we were trying to improve. We hired, we got to 71, bolstered to 84%. October, we were at 85% staffing, got back up to our minimum of our 90% standard. And as a reminder, on the regular, before about July, we were at 94 to 97% consistently all the time. And I'm happy to say, as of right now, we are at 100% staffing for our call center. And in the same time frame, we also, due to the call volume, for the calendar year, we received about a little over 87,000 calls in our call center of 7 people. And at the time, we were down to 4 people. And our coordinators, they are cross-trained, so they help on the phones, and could have been a lot worse. But we also were able to work with our other departments. We were able to create a new position in our department, which was another call taker. So we now have 8 full-time call center representatives. So, that's only roughly 11,000 calls a year per person. So still there, but with that coverage, we have our full 100% staffing for 8 call center individuals. And we do have our 3 coordinators that oversee our eligibility, our bus pass program, and our group trips. We're all prior call center representatives. They're cross-trained, and they support when needed for people that are off and when call volume goes up. And we've shifted some of the way that we do business with callbacks and things of that nature, break times, things of that. So I'm very confident at this point we're going to be seeing that 90% and above, as we should be at. And I did know all this, as it was mentioned in prior meetings, just clip notes at the bottom of these. So as I speak them, you take this little clarity for at the bottom. So as I continue to talk a lot, you don't have to forget everything. And then our TD Tampa Bay continues. We got stats for October, so waiting for the last month. But as you can see, and this is consistent with last year, there's about 9 to 12 individuals that take advantage of this. We refer quite a few people, and we're hoping to see this grow with 2025 and this new innovation grant funding. They were able to get more funding to open it up. And remember, at the end of last grant year, we had to start capping it because they were running out of funds. So they've opened that up. So I'm hoping to see this grow because I feel it's important. I think going cross county and then doing the nights and weekends, we hear about it, and when we look to see how we can potentially continue this beyond state dollars and how we can support locally, thinking we have to have the numbers to support it, and to support a program for 12 individuals it's hard to do. And that's the same aspect when we looked at our Saturday service where we had 30 people. And when you look at the cost for that, those savings, don't not want to provide service, but that's where we look at that and what other options. And again, we look for solutions. So if it not be that, coordination contracts and other individuals will continue to explore. So excited to see where that grows throughout this year. Our call center still do referrals and we keep that connection going. In the back, of course, I just kept it from last meeting because I'm just going to continue to brag. Sunshine Line, 2024 Urban Community Transportation Coordinator of the Year. And again, that support is through, all the work that our staff do, the coordination here for this board, the support from the county commission. And we're fortunate, in our Chief Human Services Administrator, Carl Hartis, we were meeting with the new commissioner. And he made a comment and he said, there's not a lot of jobs or departments and things where you can really go to work all day, finish and say, I made an impact in someone's life today for the better. And through the human services world and what we do day in and day out, it's nice to be able to go home and do that and know that we made an impact one way or another. And I got these, we had a department meeting yesterday and for my staff and looking at our whole department, told them, we're the best. The state said it, we just listening to them. So for us shining bright, we got everyone some Sunshine Line sunglasses, we shine together. It's all of us together in this room. And Councilman Schuster with his initiative today of pushing, let us know. We can only help what we know. And that's what we want to do is continue to grow. And I think 2025 is going to show it might be time to start looking for how we increase more drivers. There's still service out there, which comes with finding funds for vehicles, for more drivers. And I think 2025 is going to show us that it's time to start looking to where we can continue to expand. So with these, they are UV protected. So thank Karen in the back. She said, if you're going to get sunglasses, you got to make sure they're at least going to protect your eyes. So we've got a few over here. So we'll put them at the front. So on your way out, take a little parting gift for Sunshine Line. And as soon as they handed them out yesterday, they just put them on. And all I heard people say was, we got our hater blockers on. So it's real funny and the staff loved them. So for all of you, and thank you for what you do year in and year out. It's, who wants to be here on Friday? But y'all show up. So we appreciate that. And that's the last piece I have. Having any questions?
I think I wasn't paying enough attention. When you were talking about the new vehicles,
yes,
they're replacing or they're adding or a little of both?
So a little bit of both. Because the cost is less, we're able to get more. So we're gonna net 3 vehicles. So I got 7 to replace. I was able to get 10 vehicles out of the same cost.
I think you did say that. It just went right.
Yeah. So it's pretty neat. We're excited about it.
Great.
I have 2 questions. One, so is it the new 9 to 12 riders, the TD program, like, is that locally or like, I'm actually really surprised by that low number.
So that's for Hillsborough County residents.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Even then, that still seems.
Yeah. I agree. So the only thing I'm hoping at this point is, we're pushing since, June, July that, hey, it's back up. But if people that we referred and then it didn't work out for them, I have a feeling they might just, okay, cool, it's working, sure. But we're still pushing it. I'm hoping that might be the reason. So if we going to work on some initiatives to keep pushing that.
Was it down for a while? You say.
Well, so they, the funds were running low and PSDA, about halfway through last year, they put a stop on taking on new people. So they could sustain and support the ones they already approved and were using the service. So then for us to refer people, you're not going to get any service. So then there was a wait list and that wait list got pushed. So that was kind of the downfall of some of this, but still they performed and people that use the service love it. So yeah, and that's why I want to bring it where I've got 5 months worth of stats. So just as we watch this, it'll be on each one and just hopefully we see it grow and we refer people and hopefully it grows. So I'm with you. I'm surprised and it's been consistently even for last year's stats that 9 to 12 people, it's the same people. So hopefully it grows and
I'll send out the blasts. I have your flyers and everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our folks are usually very reliant on that, but I know we talked about before, they're kind of like, you know, a little bit butthurt because if they've gotten the program, they relied on it, then it went away. Then it
Yeah.
came back in a different iteration, they relied on it, then it went away. Now this is like, I think the fourth
It's
iteration.
confusing, and we weren't part of the naming process for this, but when you had TD Tampa Bay, which was a whole different service, then you create this that is different, but then you call it TD Tampa Bay. There's confusion and just like you said, expecting something else. And it's not the same. It is tough. And they have a reason to probably be a little upset about it not being what it was.
Then one more question, the electric vehicles, this is a thing that we have started to learn with our staff of APD. Do the electric vehicles make noises when they are parked? We are finding our folks are kind of getting hit more often by electric vehicles because they don't hear them.
It is quite as a mess.
Okay.
Yeah, quite as much. We haven't had any issues in that regard, actually with them yet. The biggest, saying we talked about this is the range, just isn't as good as we were hoping for. Still routes and things that it's useful for, but it does limit to maybe 20% of our routes and drivers that can utilize them. We're seeing 105, 110 miles per charge.
And you anticipated quite a bit more than that, right?
Yeah, I'd like 180, 175 is really where we expected. So, and that was from the vendor and him driving and doing, but he was just trying to sell me a vehicle, so.
It worked.
It worked. And luckily, and that's why we didn't buy a lot of them. We bought 3. And I knew worst case, if it was that 120, 115 miles, like I had, there's purpose for them, they still utilize. But, you know, I'm glad I didn't buy any more for that.
I have a question on that. You mentioned the Saturdays. Are you guys doing Saturdays now or no?
Not as of right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and
We've talked about it a few times, but right now you're not seeing any bang for your buck.
no, and they could use the TD Tampa Bay service is 7 days a week. And with the expansion for the extra funds, they can utilize this for trips. You know, and yeah, it's just looking at how we can be effective. We're in talks with PSDA for partnering with some of their vendors. They have contracts with Uber and Lyft. And, you know, we've done contracts to go to RFP, and then we don't get they don't Uber or whatever, they don't put in for it, and then we don't get any vendors. And the vendor we got, we had to terminate their contracts because they were not upholding. They were, you know, not picking up people, and you know, can't stray vehicles. And especially on a Saturday service is what we were hoping to have them utilize for evenings and weekends, where, you know, inherently our staff are off, but how do we coordinate if I can't trust the vendor to pick people up? You know, that's our responsibility. So that's really what we're fighting for. And it's not done. We're just, you know, trying to be strategic, and more things pop up, different agencies, you know, with microtransit, you have heard of, that's popping up really big. So there's a lot of agencies looking in that, but microtransit is great, but it also focuses usually on about a 25 square mile radius. Wilkesboro County is big. So it's just interesting to how that works in. I met with a couple of them, just chatting at conference this past year, and, you know, trying to see what we can do to be innovative to still support, you know, Saturdays and evenings. Luckily, talking to some of our clients, and we asked them, the weekends usually they have somebody, you know, family or friend on the weekend when they're not working. And, you know, the others, they just know that Monday through Friday, people take trips every single day with us, and they know the weekends they're kind of hanging out. Don't love it, but, you know, got to find what's the most cost effective as well. And don't always love the answer, but, you know, we keep thinking about how we're going to try to get something.
How long does it take to recharge the bus?
I think we don't have the quick chargers there, so it's about 10-hour full charge. We plug them in overnight and unplug them in the morning. So of course we could go to like a quick charge if we need it out and about, but then how do you plan the route? Because depending on, you know, just, yeah, it's hard to do.
Back on Hart, we were discussing electric buses, electric vehicles. Their range was maybe 130 miles in the winter, not the summer. It was less than that, but it was 7 hours to recharge a bus, 7 minutes to recharge a CNG bus. So there's a big difference in utilization. Okay, any other questions or comments for Jerry? Good, thank you, sir. Is this, you're back up for the heart update.
Good morning. Good morning. This is Brad Garcia, our staff. Here to provide a regular update on HeartBus, the ADA fare transit service that we offer. So we typically look at two metrics: on-time performance, OTP, and ridership. For on-time performance, we have two types: the drop-off on-time performance, which is what we call the appointment trips. Did we get you to your appointment on time? And the pickup on-time performance, which is did we pick you up at the time we promised we would pick you up within the window. You'll notice the volume of appointment trips is lower. We have 4,500 about when we actually have like 12,000 trips in a month. So not all our trips have appointments. Like everybody has a scheduled pickup. Not everybody has an appointment they have to get to. This past 3 months, we saw an interesting phenomenon. So you'll see how ridership dipped in October. We were closed for 4 days. HeartBus was. The bus was a little different. And plus, aside that we were closed, we were, people travel differently during that month. And also we had more delays. You can see there were more late trips. Also, if you look at the on-time performance, those percentages, the upper right, we went from the mid-90s to low 90s, back to mid-90s as we come back to normal in November. So what we saw in terms of the delays, there was like this post-hurricane traffic situation going on. We have many theories as to why that happened. Service drops, people coming from out of town for relief efforts, people commuting from different places, people who were displaced. So, and you'll see this throughout, like there was more delays in October. In terms of pickup on-time performance, which is typically a little lower, you see that again, ridership dropped and there were more delays. We went from mid-80s to low 80s, back to mid-80s. So November is kind of like coming back to normal. In terms of ridership, you see we have the subscription trips, demand trips, and the total. Demand is the one-off. Like people call, hey, I want to go to the grocery store tomorrow. Subscriptions are recurring. People like every Monday, 10 a.m. I need to leave my dialysis appointment, but that's always scheduled. You'll notice that subscriptions are actually higher in October. October is a longer month, so we typically have higher ridership. Also, October is like a busy month, like there are no holidays. But subscriptions didn't dip because they are pre-scheduled, right? They're recurring. So they were always there. The hurricane just doesn't cancel, which is what you see on the next slide. There was a high level of cancellations in October. Another slide that I really like is this one, showing ridership and on-time performance together. So the first 3 months, you see what you would expect. Ridership goes up as we come out of the summer, and on-time performance goes down, not only because of school traffic, which I always blame school traffic, I know, but also because we have higher volumes, and higher volume generates more delays. You have to pick up more people there. The likelihood of you incurring in delays is higher. But then there's ridership tanks, September and October, hurricanes. And interestingly, on-time performance goes down. Typically, it's the other round, ridership drops, on-time performance goes up. But that's the post-hurricane traffic that I mentioned. And then November, we're coming back to normal. Everything's coming back. We looked at the very late trips. They go up as we come out of the summer, and they kind of plateau in the summer. But still, this is less than 30 trips a month out of 12,000, so it's still a very small amount. Trip duration, this is a new slide that I'm very happy about. It took it for a while to finally nail down this data. So About 40% of our trips last less than 15 minutes, so like from pickup to drop off. 70%, so blue plus orange, last less than a half hour. 93% are less than an hour. And only 7% are home right now, with 5% between an hour and an half, and 2% over an hour. So I thought it was interesting because it really takes a picture about how long our trips take and how long people are on the van. There are outliers, for sure. There's people that stuck on the van for over an hour and a half, but it's not a big number. Then the taxi, this is an interesting slide too. So last update, I was telling you that we finally stabilized at about 8,000, 9,000 trips a month. But we are going up again. We're seeing two things going on. We're unloading more, the overflow. And we have excessive demand, so we offload that overflow into taxi. Excessive demand on Car Plus, we can offload to taxi. But that's only 10% of the taxi trips. The 90% of the taxi trips is people who call directly, or we call it customer choice, which is the same day. Car Plus doesn't do the same day, but people who want to same day, that's called taxi, and that number is also going up in time. So we're about to exhaust our 5-year contract in a year or two with the taxi vendor. And one last update I had, adding the dispatch software, kind of like what Jerry just procured for Sunshine Line. We are in the process of procuring a new one for ourselves as well. The current we have is like, I don't know how many decades old. I'm not privy to the conversations, but I do know it's going to the hardboard in February. So we're making progress. It might just be permission to procure. I don't think that's like a vendor selection yet, but we're looking. So thank you. I'm happy to have the presentation.
On that point, the board approved about a $10 million capital project for the CAD AVL initiative to make sure we know dispatching and then where our vehicles are. We had several years ago, we had a Art Plus vehicle that was commandeered and we lost track of it because of the radio system was antiquated and couldn't track them out into the hinterlands of the county. So that was that, plus the fact that the equipment is so old. I think it was even beyond green screen type technology. So it was far beyond the capacity to improve. It needed to be replaced. So it's happening. It's happening this budget year. So. Any other questions, Francis?
Good thing again. The late trip, just that just sounds bad, Is it prioritized so that medical people are not very often late, medical appointments?
Yeah, appointments are prioritized.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the appointment on time performance is higher.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
They get priority.
Good.
Thank you, Jesus.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any old business? New business. When's the next meeting?
Next meeting is February 28th.
28th.
So you guys should have received those invites.
Fast and Furious.
Yeah, so they came out today, so check your emails, make sure you have that on your calendar. Leon Collier, he's in the back, he's gonna be a new alternate for the agency for persons with disabilities. So welcome. And then Greg brought this up, but Hart is seeking applications for membership on the ADA Accessibility Committee. So if you on the board want to do that, just reach out to me and I can send you the application. And then that's pretty much it. That's it. So happy holidays. And yeah.
Okay, well, thank you to the TPO staff. I know you guys work diligently to put these meetings together. And thank you to all the participants. Thank you very much. And I hope everybody has happy and safe holidays and a good new year. And we come back in January, or excuse me, February, maybe we can tell these guys, give them some more work. Thank you, everybody. Meeting's adjourned.
And rewind stuff for 2025.
Oh, really?
2024. That's past, I mean, it was in my journal.